For every freedom, there is a story. A freedom built on the backs of those who gave everything to make it happen. Those willing to discover what it means to carry the title. The title of defender, leader, hero. Willing to run into adversity when so many turn and run the other direction. The proud few who carry the banner of liberty, no matter the cost. G.O.N industry needs men and women who can stand up to this task, willing to join the ranks of those who have already paved the way with these ideals. Those who continue writing the story of freedom. Do you have what it takes to add your chapter to this chronicle? Join G.O.N Industries so together we can pave a better tomorrow today.
This is the defense platform Leonidas, requesting backup from any friendly forces in the area. It is the C.O.H. We are
It had been some time since the defense platform Leonidas had ran into something it could not handle. So long, in fact, that most of G.O.N Industries had thought the Xenon were too weakened to push out and strike friendly space. We had been too complacent as we dealt with the Yaki and the Holy Order. We had forgotten how powerful the Xenon could truly be. First and Second Fleet had been in a state of repairing and building up their forces in Argon Prime, so both fleets were sent in to reinforce the defense platform Leonidas. The Xenon knew that we would send reinforcements to help the defense platform, so they aggressively pushed the attack on the Leonidas with multiple Class K destroyers and a Class I destroyer. Situations like this always make me nervous. A fight against time, a desperate sprint towards the enemy in order to stop them before it's too late. And with the First Fleet standing at 58 ships and the Second Fleet now at 112, the traveling speed of my fleets were drastically reduced, especially with the Second Fleet stopping to collect all of its fighters. Just in the nick of time, my capital behemoth attack group managed to get in between the Class I destroyer and the Leonidas, stopping the Class I from laying down its killing blow on the Leonidas. The Class I did not like this one bit and began pushing upward, trying to get around my ships, but with 11 behemoth capital ships raining down plasma from their main batteries, the Class I was torn to shreds and destroyed before it was able to maneuver around my fleet. With the Class I now destroyed, the First Fleet was ordered to destroy the remaining Xenon Ks and smaller support craft within the system. The Behemoth Strike Group spearheaded this operation and were supported with 3 shiny new Terran Sins I had managed to build from my shipyard. With them and the fighter support, the rest of the Xenon fleet in the area were mopped up with relative ease. Outside from the catastrophic damage caused to the defense platform Leonidas, no lives had been lost within First Fleet, and the First Fleet settled into a defensive position around the Leonidas as they waited for a Second Fleet to arrive. While we waited for the Second Fleet that was slowly lumbering towards Hatikva's Choice 1, G.O.N forces reported a Terran Protectorate Asgard watching us near the Xenon jump gate. This wasn't particularly concerning, however the behavior of the Terran ship was worth noting, as if it was policing or noting how we were about to deal with the current Xenon threat. Finally, the Second Fleet arrived, and with it the largest G.O.N attack armada stood ready for whatever orders were to come. With Xenon threats increasing and the desire to help our Yaki friends still being at the forefront of many within G.O.N Industries, it was decided that this armada would be used to try and clear out the neighboring Xenon sector Thracas Cascade 15. I don't know if this decision was made out of zeal or overconfidence. However, this decision would have detrimental effects. The joint G.O.N armada pushed towards the jump gate leading to Thracas Cascade 15 under the watchful eye of our Terran Asgard observer. Spirits were high as the brave souls of G.O.N Industries watched as the Grand Armada neared the jump gate. They had held strong against much during these last months. The time had come for them to do what they had all been trained for, bring freedom to those who have none. The fleet entered Thracas Cascade 15 and found no Xenon awaiting their arrival. It was suspected that our recent activities in Xenon space in regards to the Yaki had drawn the Xenon to the northern sectors. This was good news. It allowed us the valuable time to be able to pick our desired targets without having the pressure of Xenon attacks. It was determined we would start south of the jump gate, slowly working our way north. The Armada was ordered to push south to seek a viable target, although something was still not sitting right with many of the crews within the Armada, as the Terran Asgard followed us into the system and still stood observing from a distance. This behavior was strange, but G.O.N forces could not dwell on it for long, as a large Xenon force arriving within sensor view needed our full attention. The largest Xenon fighter force we had ever witnessed flooded our AO. Our fighters were quickly mobilized and sent out to counter and protect our capital ships. An immense fighter-on-fighter dogfight engulfed the system. Pure chaos. However, without the capital ships, any strike on Xenon stations would be impossible. The Xenon fighters needed to be wiped out. As if things couldn't get worse, 3 Class K destroyers were caught on sensors moving in from the west. We had to keep them from getting close to our carriers and supply ships, so the Behemoth attack group was ordered to break formation and try to counter the Class Ks before they got any closer. The Sens would hold position with the main armada and act as a QRF if any of the Ks broke through. The Behemoth struggled to push through the Xenon fighters, which led to a staggered attack on the Class Ks. This was problematic as the Ks were able to pound the smaller Behemoth ships. The Behemoths would only find success if they had the capability to attack together and overwhelm the Ks. Eventually, the Behemoths were able to congregate and consolidate their firepower, destroying the Xenon Class Ks one by one. While the Behemoths were successful in countering the Ks, the capital ships Argo and the Scarlet K9 were badly damaged, forcing them to make repairs while the rest of the Behemoths returned to the main armada to help finish up mopping up the remaining Xenon fighters. The Xenon fighters had been successful in destroying only a handful of G.O.N fighters, and with that, we assumed the bulk of the local defense force was destroyed. It was now time to test our moxie against a Xenon station. I set the second fleet to attack and coordinate on its own. The first fleet would do the same except for its capital ships. Those would fall under its own attack group that would be charged with bombarding and attacking the station directly, while the fighters ran distractionary ops and held off any light or medium Xenon ships that tried to counter the capital ships. The order was given, and the attack on the station began. Things looked promising, but I quickly started to realize a few problems. 5, 27, 36, 49. Our fighters were getting picked off out of space quicker than I could react. They were being wiped out by the copious amount of Xenon defense drones, laser weapons. Then add when a module on the Xenon station would be destroyed, the following explosion would catch my fighters in it, destroying them or badly damaging them. And once we had lost an astonishing 60 fighters, and I had barely left a dent on the Xenon station, we realized we were in trouble. Despite our numbers and vast armada's firepower, we were still tragically underprepared for this quest. A tactical retreat was ordered. Yet the situation continued to decline. More Xenon fighters began pushing in from the darkness of space to our east and to our west. Our retreating forces were forced to fight for every inch back to friendly space. In the madness, I realized something. The capital ship behemoth Argo had not been able to finish its repairs, and was still stuck in Thracas Cascade 15. On top of it, my resupply ship Dante was refusing to abandon the Argo, and was quickly trying to assist the damaged capital ship. My fleet had just returned to Hatikva's Choice 1, but no man would be left behind, so the behemoth attack group was sent in to try and cover the trapped ships. The behemoth attack group was able to make it in time to set up a firing line as a group of Xenon Class K destroyers emerged. But something went wrong. Almost on cue, every single one of my behemoth main batteries stopped firing. The systems were not registering. The batteries were malfunctioning, or perhaps sabotaged. My fleet was helpless, and one by one the behemoths fell.
Searching, ever searching, though the fate came long ago. Calling, hear them calling, new horizons. Speak to me. Waiting, I'll be waiting for dawn's sweet rain to come again. Without this fading, I cannot grow. So winds of change move in me.
An order to flee the area was given, but the order came too late. In one last desperate attempt, the Argo used what little engine power it had to fly between the supply ship and the Class Ks, giving the ultimate sacrifice to allow the supply ship Dante a chance to escape. In the end, only 3 behemoths made it out: the Harmonia, the Zir, and the Scarlet Canine. That Dante was able to limp back through to friendly space thanks to the sacrifice of the Argo. In total, between both 2nd and 1st Fleet, a total of 8 capital ships had been destroyed and over 70 fighters had been lost. This was disastrous. I am going to be honest, I am beat, and this really burnt me out. A lot of these issues I was suffering from were from game mechanic issues from within the game itself. Many of my fighters were being destroyed in explosions from the stations they were there to destroy. They would destroy parts of it only to refuse to run when the explosions were about to go and just die in a fireball of death and destruction. I don't know why my behemoths stopped firing. I even reloaded the save a few times, and every single time the behemoth main batteries would just stop working. I had to swing it some way for the story, but I'm honestly really frustrated over this bug. Many of the ships I lost were veteran ships I had for months of playing, and that's months of real time of playing. Also, the Argo and the supply ship, they were, well, irritating in their own way. The fleet was told to retreat, yet the Argo and the supply ship refused to listen to my orders because the Argo needed to resupply and to repair, and the supply ship was just not going to listen to any of my commands because the Argo needed the resupply. Sure, it can be swung that they refuse to abandon their fellow fleet mates, but from a game standpoint, just from like gaming, it is really annoying when your ships under your commands don't listen to your commands. I could rant some more, but this, like I said, this just burnt me out. I wish I didn't have to lose so many ships because of weird mechanics. The fleets are needed more than ever now, well, especially with fighting the Holy Order and the Xenon and stuff. It's just, G.O.N Industries has just really hit a low point right now. But either way, I'm thankful that you guys are watching and were willing to watch this whole debacle. Your views go such a long way, and with me being such a small channel, it just means the world, honestly. My patrons and my YouTube members, I am also kind of surprised that your ships made it out of this. Those who were with the first fleet and the second fleet, it was just incredible that you guys made it, especially G.O.N ship captain Red Dog 7. Your ship was just barely repaired enough to escape from the first retreat that we did, and then when the second retreat was given, your ship was one of the only few to actually escape the chaos. G.O.N frigate officer Lucy Poole and Jesse Louis Favela, your frigates managed to survive the Xenon space, in Xenon space, and make it out in one piece, which is surprising because I find frigates are usually the first to go when dealing with large fighter battles. G.O.N frigate officer Desgard UK and Joel Braz, your frigates were brought in and consolidated with their respective groups in Argon Prime. Currently, G.O.N Industries is in no place to stretch out too far. Keeping assets close to home is important more than ever now. G.O.N fighter pilot Dulcina, you were one of the few fighters to make it out while part of the second fleet. I'm assuming this is from all your time flying against the Holy Order in Second Contact 2. So that all paid off, and I guess it gave you an upper edge you needed to survive. G.O.N fighter pilot Peter, your ship was also brought into Argon Prime. Hopefully here it'll have a better, or at least it'll be safer, I should say, for it. Since we're just having so many issues with losses recently. So this will give us a chance to recoup and I guess figure out what we're going to do with all this. Thank you again. I might be a little salty to agree, but you know, these issues, it is what it is. All in all, X4 is still one of my favorite games, and I appreciate all of you guys willing to watch and listen to my rants. Check out my Discord if you really, if you want to join in the fun. We do Arma ops and stuff, or if you really want to support, I do have like the aforementioned Patreon and YouTube memberships. Either way, I'm just thankful that you guys are watching. So, you know, be safe, be kind, love one another, and peace.